All right, today we're jumping into the world of 3D modeling, and we're going to look at a tool that is seriously powerful, totally professional, and, this is the best part, it costs absolutely nothing. So have you ever wanted to design or engineer something, bring an idea to life, but then you see the price tag on professional CAD software and, yeah, it's a huge barrier, right? It's a super common problem. But what if I told you there's a serious contender out there that costs, well, zero? Okay, so let's talk about FreeCAD. And right off the bat, let's be clear, this is not some basic lightweight sketching app. Nope. This is a full-fledged open source powerhouse that's a real alternative to the big, expensive names in the industry. And it's all built and supported by a massive global community. So what exactly is FreeCAD? Let's get into the nitty-gritty. First, it's a parametric modeler. Don't worry, we'll unpack what that means in just a minute. It's also open source, which is awesome because it means anyone can use it and even help improve it. The versatility is just huge. You can design anything from mechanical parts to entire buildings. And maybe best of all, it runs on Windows, Mac, and Linux. So yeah, it's pretty much accessible to everyone. And that brings us to the showstopper, the feature that gets everyone's attention, the cost. Look at that number, zero. No licensing fees, no monthly subscriptions, nothing. You're getting an incredibly powerful tool for free, which makes it an absolute game changer for students, startups, hobbyists, really anyone who needs pro-level power without that pro-level price tag. Okay, so to really wrap your head around FreeCAD and how it works, you gotta understand its core philosophy. It all really boils down to two key ideas, something called parametric modeling and workbenches.
All right, first up, parametric modeling. What on earth is that? Well, just think of it as smart design. Instead of just drawing a static, dumb shape, you build your model based on rules and dimensions. These are the parameters. So let's say you need to make a part 5 millimeters wider. You don't have to go back and redraw the whole thing. Nope, you just change one little number and boom, the entire model intelligently updates itself. It's incredibly powerful.
The second big concept is workbenches. The best way to think about this is like a real workshop. FreeCAD organizes all its tools into these specialized sets. So if you're designing a mechanical part, you'll grab the tools from the part design workbench. If you're working on a building, you'll switch over to the architecture workbench. It keeps everything clean and organized, so you'll only see the tools you need for the job you're doing right now. Okay, that's the philosophy, but how do you actually make something? It might seem intimidating at first, but honestly, the basic workflow in FreeCAD is super logical. It really just comes down to a few key steps. And here they are. Step 1, you start by drawing a simple, flat, 2D shape. In FreeCAD, this is called a sketch. Step 2, you lock in all its dimensions and rules. This is super important, and it's called constraining the sketch. Then, once your sketch is perfectly defined, you move to step 3. You use a special operation, like an extrusion, to pull that flat 2D shape into a 3-dimensional object. That's it. Sketch, constrain, create.
Now, that second step, fully constraining the sketch, is absolutely crucial. And FreeCAD has this really cool way of telling you you've done it right. When your sketch is perfect, when every dimension and rule is locked in place, it turns green. It's this great visual cue that says, yep, this is solid, it's perfectly defined. And doing this prevents all sorts of headaches and errors down the road.
All right, so you've made your first 3D solid. Now the real fun begins. This is where you start to sculpt and build on that basic shape, adding material here, removing it there, to create your final, more complex design. And to do that, you're mostly going to be using two core tools, Pad and Pocket. It's pretty simple, really. Pad adds material. You draw a sketch on a surface and pad it out to build up your model. Pocket does the opposite. It removes material. You draw a sketch and use Pocket to create holes, cutouts, or cavities. Honestly, almost every complex object you can imagine is just a clever combination of adding with pads and subtracting with Pocket. And of course, that's just scratching the surface. As you get more comfortable, you'll unlock all sorts of powerful features. You can use variables to drive dimensions, so one change updates the whole model. You can mirror parts for perfect symmetry. And you can add those pro-looking finishing touches, like beveled or rounded edges, using tools like chamfers and fillets. So, when you put it all together, all this power for free, where does FreeCAD actually fit in? Is this just a cool tool for hobbyists, or is it a genuine contender that can go toe-to-toe with the big, expensive industry standards? Well, let's break it down and look at the trade-offs, because there are always trade-offs. The cost?
obviously, is FreeCAD's knockout punch. It's free. But on the other side, professional software like SolidWorks often has a more polished, user-friendly interface right out of the box, and it tends to have more specialized tools for very specific industries. And when it comes to stability, while FreeCAD is generally really solid, the commercial guys put their software through insane levels of testing because their clients depend on it for mission-critical work.
So what does all that mean? It means FreeCAD has a perfect sweet spot. It's an absolute game changer for anyone who needs serious CAD power, but doesn't have that big enterprise-level budget. We're talking students who can learn these skills without going into debt. We're talking hobbyists, startups, small businesses, anyone who wants to prototype and design without spending a fortune on software.
So here's the bottom line. Is FreeCAD a complete replacement for the top-tier professional stuff in every single industry? Maybe not just yet. But is it a revolution for the rest of us? Absolutely. It represents this massive shift, a democratization of design that puts professional-grade tools in everyone's hands. So maybe the real question isn't just whether it can compete, but how many new ideas and new creators it's going to unleash into the world.